This is the Eclipse conspiracy theory that the mainstream media does not want to talk about. Michael Snyder reports, as the great American eclipse of 2024 on April 8 draws near, the mainstream media has been packed with stories that debunk various conspiracy theories. Of course, in order to have a conspiracy theory, you have got to have more than one individual that is alleged to be involved with some sort of conspiracy, and so I have no idea how that term can possibly be applied to what's going on in the heavens. In any event, there are a certain lot of theories about this eclipse that are clearly not accurate, and the mainstream media has successfully debunked a number of them. However, there is one theory regarding this eclipse that the mainstream media does not want to talk about, and I will discuss that theory in this article. He says, in Genesis chapter 1, God specifically told us that one of the reasons why he created the sun and the moon is because they would be used as signs. Genesis chapter 1, verse 14, and God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. Anyone that has read the first passage, the first page of the Bible should know this. This is extremely basic stuff. In Luke chapter 21, Jesus specifically warned us that there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars during the years just prior to his return. So we should be watching for signs in the sun and in the moon and the stars in the end times, because Jesus instructed us to watch for signs in the sun and in the moon and the stars in the end times. Once again, this is extremely basic stuff. Of course, the mainstream media would like to convince all of us that anyone that believes that the great American eclipse of 2024 has any sort of special significance is a few bricks short of a load. And you can believe that if you want. But the mainstream media can never debunk the Aleph and the Tav that are being completed on April 8. As the great American eclipse of 2024 passes over the United States on April 8, it will cross over the path of the Ring of Fire solar eclipse of October 14, 2023, and the path of the great American eclipse of 2017. In the process, an absolutely enormous Paleo-Hebrew Aleph will be completed over America. According to EclipseWitness.com, there has never been such a tightly formed obvious Aleph over the interior borders of any nation in at least the last 1,000 years. The Aleph that is being formed does not look anything like the Aleph that has evolved in modern Hebrew. Rather, the Aleph that is being formed looks just like the Aleph that was commonly used when many of the books of the Bible were being written in ancient Israel. The Aleph has always been the very first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and from the earliest times it has always meant strength, authority, or power. Remember that because it will be important later. If you remove the Ring of Fire solar eclipse of October 14, 2023 from the equation, the paths of the Great American Eclipse of 2024 and the Great American Eclipse of 2017 form a giant Paleo-Hebrew Tav, or T, over America, across. At the heart of the Tav is a great giant X that intersects directly over the New Madrid fault zone in southern Illinois. The Tav has always been the very last letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and from the earliest times it has always meant mark or covenant. And in the earliest forms, the Tav was always a picture of two wooden sticks crossing one another. In other words, the Tav is simply a wooden cross. Ultimately, the Tav represents the covenant that God made with humanity at the wooden cross. And when you see the Aleph and Tav together, strength, authority, and power is being combined with the covenant that God made with humanity at the wooden cross. The Aleph Tav is actually in the original Hebrew in Genesis 1:1, but it is never translated to any of our English versions. And the Aleph Tav is also found thousands of other times throughout the Old Testament. But today I want to talk about the appearance of the Aleph Tav in the book of Revelation. In the very first chapter of the book of Revelation, Jesus identifies himself as the Alpha and the Omega. I was in the Spirit in the Lord's day, and I heard behind me a great voice as of a trumpet, saying, I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last. And what thou seest write in a book, and send it unto the 7 churches which are in Asia, unto Ephesus, unto Smyrna, unto Pergamos, and unto Thyatira, and unto Sardis, and unto Philadelphia, and unto Laodicea. And in the very last chapter of the book of Revelation, Jesus once again identifies himself as the Alpha and the Omega. He said, I am the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. If Jesus is telling us the exact same thing in the very first chapter of the book of Revelation and the very last chapter of the book of Revelation, it must be important. Needless to say, the Alpha and the Omega are the first and last letters of the Greek alphabet, but I believe that the original conversation between Jesus and the Apostle John in the book of Revelation were not in Greek. You see, the truth is that the Apostle John did not speak Greek, he spoke Hebrew. And so when Jesus appeared to John, he would have spoken to him in the language that he could understand. So in the original conversations we find in the book of Revelation, I believe Jesus and the Apostle John were speaking to each other in Hebrew. Instead of saying that he is the Alpha and the Omega during the original conversation, Jesus would have said that he is the Aleph and the Tav. The Apostle John would have immediately recognized that Jesus was saying that he is the Aleph Tav, and we find in Genesis 1:1. And he would have immediately recognized that Jesus was saying that he is the Aleph Tav that appears thousands of times throughout the Old Testament. And now the Aleph Tav is literally being painted in the skies above America, and hardly anyone is even talking about this. The 2 Hebrew letters that Jesus specifically identified himself with will be completed in the heavens on April 8, and meanwhile, the sun, the moon, and the 7 other planets in our solar system will all be lined up in the sky, the night sky. And all of this is happening on the first day of the first month of the Hebrew calendar. Can you understand why the mainstream media does not want to talk about any of this? The heavens are literally screaming out that Jesus is Lord, and we are very fortunate to be living during the times just prior to his return. And this is by Michael Snyder on the Economic Collapse blog. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Michael's new book entitled Chaos, available in paperback and for Kindle on Amazon, and you can check out his new Substack newsletter right here. About the author, Michael Snyder, extremely controversial new book, Chaos, available in paperback and Kindle on Amazon. He's also written 7 other books available on Amazon, including End Times, 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters, Commissions Earned. When you purchase any of Michael's books, you help to support the work that he's doing. You can also get his articles by email as soon as he publishes them by subscribing to his Substack newsletter. Michael has published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, The Most Important News, and he always freely and happily allows others to republish those articles on their own websites. You can connect with Michael on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and share his articles on your own social media accounts. It's definitely a great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, we strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.